Hello, everybody. Welcome to our unique sensory tools training. My name is Lindsay Dragon, and I know it may say Kristen Hoffman, so that's just the the director of the Autism Center. So while we're waiting on people to sign in, I'm going to be sharing my screen with everybody to let you see what we have coming up. We have this training this evening, and then we have one more tomorrow. The training for tomorrow is with Elizabeth Macy. She is an environmental consultant and has worked many years with the autism community at both camps and in an educational setting. This is the information for the Autism Center at Misericordia. We have the information for the Autism Collaborative Centers on the bottom, and of course our fabulous ALL program. So if you're interested in any of these programs, definitely give us a buzz. Our phone number is listed there as well as our website. And we have all sorts of fun things coming up. And for the training tomorrow, sometimes I think families definitely shy away from outdoor activities because of the risks that are involved with kids who may elope and or may not enjoy an activity which would lead to a meltdown. And Liz is going to show us how to do that more successfully as parents, since we're all at home for, whoever knows how long, and if it's going to go back to the red in our area or not. So we're going to allow this to roll through just another 2 or 3 times. So if anybody has any questions about anything, definitely email us at autism@misericordia.edu. All right. The Autism Educator Support Alliance, that is geared towards educators or any professional who is working with children who have autism. What a great way to collaborate across the nation. It doesn't have to just be here in Pennsylvania, but a lot of these trainings are, going global, so that's pretty awesome. It's been hot out there, and with the bugs, my kids haven't wanted to be outside at all. Okay. Just a reminder that we will be taking a break in July, so we'll be picking things back up in August. So definitely take the time to get outside and do some fun stuff with family and friends if you can. So again, my name is Lindsay Dragon. I'm the administrative assistant at the Autism Center at Misericordia. Today we have Brianne Font with us, occupational therapist and graduate from Misericordia University. So welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Thank you so much for doing this. It's awesome. The presentations and the topics are pretty great.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you so much.
So I'm just gonna hand it over to you. So whenever you're ready, go ahead. Oh, real quick, first of all, I want everybody to know that if you have questions throughout the training, if you run your cursor over the bottom of the screen, you'll see a chat button. If you would like to ask any questions at the end throughout the presentation, you can put your questions in that chat box, and I will make sure to ask Brianne that at the end of her presentation. Okay, awesome. Now you can take it away.
All right, so let me just share my screen real quick. Can you see that?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So let's get started. So thank you, Lindsay, and thanks to Kristen and everyone at the Autism Center. I'm super excited to give this presentation today. So today we're going to talk about how to meet a child's sensory needs in the home environment with some tips and tricks that I'm going to give you today. So we're going to talk about, again, those sensory needs and how providing them helps with daily function, because we need to be able to meet our sensory needs in order to function on a daily basis. We're going to talk about the 8 senses, and yes, I do mean 8 senses. And we're going to learn how to make simple and easy do-it-yourself sensory activities at home that you can do. You don't necessarily have to go out to the store and buy things. You can find these things in your house, things that you can do to help regulate your child and help them be successful, and understand how to determine what type of input your child needs throughout every day. And then we'll have time for questions, and we'll go from there. But a little bit about me, like Lindsay said, I am an OT. I graduated from Misericordia. I currently work outpatient pediatrics around the Philadelphia area, outside of Philadelphia. I work a lot with children on the spectrum, children who are waiting to get their evaluations to be diagnosed, a lot of children with sensory needs, whether it be feeding sensory issues or just other sensory issues as well. It's something that I absolutely love. I could do many presentations just on sensory stuff. So this is just a little bit of what you can do at home to help your child and try to make every day a little bit easier, help them be regulated. So first, we're going to start off with what sensory needs are. And I know a lot of you probably already know about this already, but I like to just go into it and just recap. So it's important to know that everyone has sensory needs. I have them, you have them, your child has them. And in order to function correctly on a daily basis, we need to be able to meet our sensory needs appropriately. So if you break down sensory and needs and separate it, you look at sensory. It's what we take into our body from the environment. And it's how we correspond with our environment to help us do things effectively on a daily basis. Wash our hands, react if we get hurt, play effectively with other children. And everyone needs sensory input, but our level of need is different. Someone might need more input to understand what's happening, and someone might need less input to understand. So when you have those kids who, they fell and they hit their head, but they're giggling, they probably need more input than other children who, fall down and they're screaming and crying. So like I said, everyone has different sensory needs. And let's see, how do we get the sensory input? Again, like I said, we do actually have 8 senses. We have the 5 that we all know about: taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing. But we do have 3 others, and we're going to talk about them today. One of them, if you can see here on the screen, is proprioception. That is how we are aware of our body in space and the strength we need to be able to complete actions. So think about grabbing a carton of milk out of the fridge. You don't know, not one of the clear ones. I'm talking about one of those like old school cardboard ones where you can't see how much is in there. You can't see what's in there, so your body needs to know, okay, I'm going to grab this. I don't need to rip it off the shelf. I need to slowly take it out. That's proprioception. Then you also have your vestibular sense. That helps you with balance. And again, proprioception and vestibular kind of go together because it helps you with spatial orientation, knowing where your body is in relation to other things. Vestibular has a lot to do with the ears and your equilibrium and your balance. Then you also have interoception. That is awareness of what's going on inside of your body. So that would be needing to go to the bathroom, feeling that you're hungry. For some people, it's feeling that, my stomach is upset or I have a headache. It's different for everybody, but when you have a child who doesn't have that interoception sense, they might be running to the bathroom last minute. They might never tell you that they want a snack. So that is a sense that we have. So combine that with the 5, and that is our 8 senses. Today, we're not really going to go too deep into interoception because I could do a whole different thing on just that alone. And in order to build up that sense of interoception, you need to have good proprioception and vestibular input as well. So we're really going to focus on the other 7 senses today besides interoception, but we'll touch on it a little bit. So as soon as I get through this, I promise we'll get to the activities that everybody wants to hear about. But it's really important to know how the activities that you're going to do impact the sensory system and how it processes through our body. So first you have stimulation, which is where you get that sensory input. Let's think about stubbing your toe, and that's going to be our example for this. So we stub our toe. That's your stimulation. That's your outside environmental stimulation. Your body registers the input. So it perceives that sensory input and says, okay, something just happened. Then you move on to orientation and interpretation. That's where it goes up to your brain through all those pathways, and your body says, okay, what happened? What did I hit? It goes into sometimes fight or flight mode. It thinks about, okay, am I hurt? What part of my, I think I already said this, but what part of my body, what did I hit it on? And kind of, should I have a big response or a little response? And that's something that kids also work on, as well as their responses to things. But that all happens with sensory input as well. Then you move on to your output. So that's what produces your response. It takes all that information and it says, okay, what do I need to do? You stubbed your toe. Your mind says, okay, I hit my toe. You look down at your toe and you see what you stubbed it on. Is it bleeding? Is my nail broken? Am I okay? That then becomes your response. And all of this happens in like 2 seconds, not even. When you think about it, pretend you just stubbed your toe. You immediately look down and know what happened. But all this process just happened in that time period. But when there's an issue with sensory processing, or an issue with, somebody needs more input or less input, the response is what changes to that sensory stimulation. So, like I was saying,
go on, I have something quick. I had my son had grazed by the curling iron one day.
Oh goodness!
And I said, "Oh, are you hurt?" And he was perfectly fine, but he has a delayed response.
Yes.
5 minutes later, he's holding up his pinky, not knowing what to do, and just screaming. Yep. So it was definitely a delay.
Yes. And that's definitely super common, especially when you have those kids. To me, based on what you said, obviously I don't know your son, but he would fall into this hypo-responsive category of he needs more input or to take a longer time in order to process that information. And since we're on that, we'll just dive right in. If you look at this little guy here, he's super cute, but he is shoveling that popcorn into his mouth. That doesn't always mean that he's looking for me, that might say, he needs oral motor input. He's really shoving food in there. He wants to chew a lot. That might not be what it means, but when I look at that picture, that's what I see as an OT perspective. So think of hypo-responsiveness as underreactions. They need more. He's putting more in his mouth because he needs more in order to feel. On the other side, you have hyper-responsive. These are overreactions. Like this little cutie here. I love this video. I'm going to play it in a second. He touches the grass and his legs instantly go out. This is very common with grass, sand, even water sometimes. Because your feet are the most sensitive part of your body besides your head, a lot of times kids don't want to touch those textures. So they will do crazy little leg movements. I will pull this up for you, but it is an overreaction. Let me know if you can see. Do you see this little video?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to watch it for a couple seconds.
Can you touch it? You do it. It's good.
But can you hear it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, he does not want to touch that grass. His legs go out. Not touching it.
This baby does not like the grass.
Yeah, she does not like it at all. I love these.
Okay, Carter, show everyone how much you like the grass.
But it's an instant response. It's a hyperactive response.
Carter, try it again.
Stimulation, pick my feet up. But they're just so stinking cute. I love it.
You don't like the grass?
This is a severe response.
You don't.
Going, doesn't want any part of himself to touch it.
Daddy?
But
how about I walk on the grass?
They're so cute.
No? How about I walk on the sidewalk?
But she's fine on the sidewalk. She won't touch the grass.
What's wrong? You doing it?
It's very, very cute. But again, those are overreactions to that sensory stimulation of the grass. So if you ever want to think of hyper versus hypo, I like to think of a hippo for hypo. I don't know why I thought of that back in school, because they're so big, they're going to need more. And hyper, just think of these little babies picking their feet up off the ground. It's very cute.
Yeah.
So why are meeting sensory needs so important? Like I said before, we need it in order to interact with our environment properly. We need the right amount in order to attend to a task, remain on task, interact in socially acceptable ways, stay safe, and be aware of yourself and your surroundings. And like I said, most importantly, engage in those everyday occupations. May it be playing, socializing with other kids, brushing your teeth with the right sequence. You need that right input in order to do it correctly. So Tactile, this is your sense of touch. Really quick, just gonna go over what hyper-responsive and hypo-responsive might look like. Now, when I see these, I like to think of where I fall, and it's important to know that everyone kind of falls either in both or mostly in one category, and it doesn't mean there's something wrong. It's only a problem when it impacts your function on a daily basis. So I might talk about myself and where I fall in here as we go through it. But again, like I said, it's only a problem when it's impacting functionality. So for sense of touch, a hyper-responsive child might avoid textures. They might even cry or scream or gag at something that they do not like. A lot of times these kids don't like clothes, even socks and shoes. Bath time is a problem, brushing hair. I know for me, my parents tell me all the time, but I didn't like to be held or touched as a baby. And that is a sign of responsivity to tactile information. Avoiding messy play, not reacting to hot or cold, overreacting to hot or cold temperatures, and preferring light touch. Sometimes if you give your child a hug, they might say you're hurting them. That's a hyper-responsive reaction to tactile information. On the other side, the kids who need way more input, they will touch everything. You'll take them to the store and they will run their hands down those clothing racks. If you go to a shoe store, they might grip all those little shoe inserts, the gel ones. I know I used to do that. I would just squeeze all the little inserts. They might be unaware when they're dirty, very high pain tolerance. They might not even notice hot or cold. They will seek out that messy, rough and tumble play, and sometimes they even are self-injurious. They might bite themselves, bite others, or headbang. So things that you could do at home. Let's get right on into it. One of my favorite ones that I actually use is ice painting, and it's really easy. You just need an ice cube tray, some water, and some food coloring. And you put it in. The kids can even help you mixing it, squeezing. The dropper is awesome for tactile input. It does get messy though, so definitely be there. And I use toothpicks, but you can use popsicle sticks, whatever you want. I dyed them all different colors. And all you need is, like I said, the ice cube tray, food coloring, water. And I like to put it on a baking sheet because it will drip. I just put my paper on top. You can put it on cardboard if you're feeling brave. You could just put down a tablecloth, whatever you want. Take it outside if it's nice out, and you just give them the ice cubes and they can draw with it. If you have a child who needs a lot of input, ditch the toothpick and they could just use their fingers. It is just food coloring, so it will wash off, although some of my kids like when they look like the Hulk or a Smurf and they're all green and blue. So it's really up to you, whatever you like, but you can do all different things. I'm all about making these functional. You can practice your letters. You can write A, B, C, practice drawing circles, all those pre-writing strokes that if you have OT and your child's working on that, you know what I'm talking about.
That is really cool.
And it's super easy and it dries just like a regular painting. And you can hang it up on your wall, and it's really good. Like I said, if you have a child who's sensitive, use those toothpicks. If you have a child who needs the input, let them use their hands. It's really awesome and really fun. Another one that I'm sure you've probably heard of is playing with shaving cream. Let me just put this down. Playing with shaving cream is great. It's really fun for a lot of the kids who are sensory seekers. It will get messy. I suggest starting off with it in the bathtub if it's your first time, because if you have a sensory seeker, that child who needs a lot of input, they will put it all over themselves. If you have a child who's sensitive and doesn't like that texture, then put it in a Ziploc bag and seal it, tape it closed, because the Ziploc bags, as we all know, they open really easy, and have them play with it through the bag with their finger. You don't need a lot in there. You could dye it different colors with food coloring as well, and it gets them used to that texture. And then when they get more comfortable with it, open the bag and let them touch it. Get them used to it, and then say, you know what, do you want to squeeze some out? Do you want to play with it? And you can move up from there. Get them used to the sensation first. Sensory bins, I'm sure it's all over Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Sensory bins are fantastic. I'm all about making them safe for kids who want to eat everything. So I'm sure some of you've probably heard the newest craze is taking Cheerios or Fruit Loops and putting them in a blender, and it actually comes out to the texture of sand. And you can use that instead. Now, if you are going to substitute sand or anything for an edible item, I'd recommend not telling your child it's okay to eat it. Because then if you ever graduate or move up to regular sand, they might just try to eat it, and then you're going to run into a whole new issue. So treat it like it's regular sand. If you ever want to try a water bin with Orbeez, those water beads, but you're afraid they're going to eat it, tapioca pearls. You can get them mostly at any store, and the box, it's really easy to make. The directions are on the back, and they come out just like water beads, like Orbeez, and they're safe to eat. Again, don't tell your child they can eat them, because if they go somewhere and there's an Orbeez, they might try to eat it. But those are great as well. Water sensory bags. You can make these at your house. I am obsessed with laminating things. So I have my own laminator, but you can also use a Ziploc bag to make it as well. So I have a whole bunch here. They're great for kids of all ages. It's a good way to play with different textures that they might not like. You can put water. This one has water and food coloring and beads in it, and the child can push the beads around. It's really good for kids who don't like that water texture, but they need that water play to get used to it. You can put hair gel in it, shampoo, conditioner, anything. You can put little toys in there, and they have to push the toys around, like little plastic dinosaurs, anything like that. It's really fun and really easy to make. I use my laminator sheet and a flat iron and flat iron the sides. But you can use a Ziploc bag. Double bag it though, because those leak really easy, and make sure you seal the top with tape. And you can tape it if you have a young kid. You can put it on their high top table, their high chair, tape it down. They could play with it. You could put it on the floor. It's really durable. I've had these for months, and they haven't ripped or anything like that. So they're really fun. You can put pom-poms in it, anything really that won't get like rusty. I don't suggest putting magnets in it, but anything that won't get rusty, you can put in them. Finger painting. So much fun. Everyone loves finger painting, unless you have a child who is hypersensitive. They will pick their hands up and say, clean me, oh my goodness. So again, you can start with finger painting, like with the shaving cream in a bag. I suggest, if you have a child who eats everything, take plain Greek vanilla yogurt and food coloring. And there's your finger paint. Bring it into the bathtub. I do have a picture of that on the next slide, I believe. A sensory walking path. Like I said before, your feet are the most sensitive part of your body along with your head. So making a sensory walking path is super easy. If you have those foam puzzle pieces that stick together, that's an option you can use. I just use really big pieces of felt. And this one I took bottle caps. I just hot glued them on, and I have pretty stickers here. They are raised like rocks. Some kids don't like that uneven texture. I also have used jeans for kids who don't like jean material, and pom-poms. And what you do is you lay them out on the ground, and you make a little walking path, and you let them get used to that sensation on their feet. But what I recommend is alternate between something they like and something they don't like, or they are not going to touch it. Get them used to it. The first time you do it, make sure you're using mostly things that they do like, and then introduce things they don't like, again, or they're not going to want to do it. Toy bath time is another really, really fun one. It is used to basically get those kids who don't like their own bath time, that water play, or if they don't like using soap. You take toys, let them take them outside and get them as dirty as they want. Dig a hole in some mud, drop them in some sand, whatever you want. Give them a bucket of water, some soap, some brushes, anything, and let them clean off those toys, play in the water. It's really, really good for that tactile input through the hands. It also gets them used to that water sensation and the sensation of the bubbles. If they're not comfortable with that, you can give them gloves. I have kids who love wearing gloves. They think it's so much fun, and let them still play in it. It'll get them used to it. What's in the bag or what's in the box? I went shoe shopping, so I'm using a box today. But it's really, really easy, fun to do. Kids like it a lot. Basically, you take items and you put them inside of the bag or the bucket. Now, if you're using a bag, you want it to not be see-through, so like a paper bag or something that's not clear. And you make it so you put stuff inside, and I have a hole here. I stick my hand in it, and I'm feeling around. And basically what you can do is you can do this one of two ways. Have your child describe what's in there, and you have to guess it. Or you take a peek inside the box, and you describe it to your child. And based on what they're feeling, they can then guess what it is. So I put in here right now, I have some tin foil, a cotton ball, a shaker egg, and like a sponge tree. What I like to do when I play this game is have one thing they don't like to start and a bunch of things they do like. So this way, when they touch that thing that they're not comfortable with, for me, it would be the tin foil. I have a lot of kids who don't like that feeling of tin foil, the sound, all of it. They can switch to something else, but they're still actually touching it to get used to it. If you have a child who you need to be able to attend to a seated task, but they constantly want to touch things, take a piece of Velcro. They have the sticker ones, and stick a little, it's very discreet, stick it on the edge of the table underneath, and tell your child they can rub their fingers on it when they have to. I use that a lot, and my kids' attention to task kind of increases for a couple minutes sometimes. And it's very discreet. Nobody knows it's there, and it just looks like they're keeping their hands under the table. It just gives them that subtle tactile input that they need to regulate in order to keep their attention longer. And I know if you tuned into Jess's presentation last week, which was awesome, she did talk about the toy or the puzzle unwrap, where you take, let's say you take a puzzle, your child's favorite puzzle, and you wrap those pieces up in things that they do and don't like. So again, I'll use the tin foil because a lot of kids don't like tin foil. Wrap some pieces in tin foil. Wrap some pieces in gift wrap if you want to treat it like a birthday present. Or even cling wrap, plastic wrap, and it's like they have a field day opening it up. It's great for that tactile input with all the different textures. Some other things you can do, and then we'll move on to the next couple of senses, is ice rescue. So that one's here. You can take things, again, easy with the ice cube tray. You can use pom-poms, little toys. I used little ABC magnets for this one. And you freeze it. And then the next day you bring it out, or a couple hours later you bring it out, and you give your child, you can give them warm water, salts, things to bang on the ice with, and they have to rescue the things out of it. It gives them all that tactile input through the hands and the warm and cold sensations as well. Sponge Jenga, love sponge Jenga. You really can't play Jenga with it though, but you can really do building. I've used it where you just take sponges. You can go to the dollar store. If you have old sponges laying around, you can cut them up into strips. And if your child doesn't like that bath time or that wet sensation, have the sponges be dry or damp. And then if they need that input, have them soaking wet. And it totally changes the dynamic. Let them build with it, play with it. It's something, again, I recommend either you do in the bathtub or you do outside. Because they are going to get wet if they're wet, and they will toss them. It's actually really fun. Another thing that's good for little guys is this sticky wall here. Super easy to make. It's just cling paper that you can wrap food with. I know they call it all different things. I just call it cling paper. And some painter's tape. And you could do all different things with it. Pom-poms, foam pieces, pipe cleaners will stick to it. Pieces of paper will stick to it. And so for this one, I had the child do a color sort where I had the pipe cleaners up there already, and they had to sort it. And then they had to pull it off. And it does stick to it. So the pulling it off is what gives them that input, and the sticking it on, pushing it on, gives them that tactile input. And the other way I did it was I put a bunch of stuff on the wall and the different colors on the floor, and they had to pull it off and color sort. You can make pictures with it. You could do ABCs, anything really. It's really fun and really effective for that tactile input. And this is what I was talking about, this little cutie with the edible finger paint. Like I said, it's just Greek yogurt, some food coloring. And like I said, I recommend a bathtub, but if you're feeling brave, maybe go outside and have a hose ready, but paper towels as well. This kept this little guy entertained for quite a while. I actually had to drain the bathtub water and then refill it because he did not want to stop. It's really fun. The more food coloring you put into it, the darker the colors become. We put a lot of food coloring in it, basically like the whole bottle to make those colors. But it was okay that he, was putting it in his mouth because it's just Greek yogurt. So on to the next sense, vestibular and proprioception. Again, those are your body awareness and balance. So a hyper-responsive child, they might avoid movement. They won't like swings. Slides, having their feet off the ground is a big deal. It's called gravitational insecurity. They do not like it. They often have poor body awareness, difficulty with changes in movement. That's why they don't like the swings. If they're older, they won't go on roller coasters. And they might push really lightly when they're writing to the point that you might not even see what's going on. And then hypo-responsive on the other end. These are your kids who are go, 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 jumping, climbing on everything. Rocking back and forth is a big one as well. They don't really feel light touch. They need a deep squeeze, deep pressure to feel things. That's calming for them. They might actually ask you for a tight squeeze, or they might give you a hug and really, really hold you tight, and you're like, wow, you're strong. That's because they need that input. They might push so hard when they're writing or drawing that they break things. They don't recognize often, like we said, that interoception, that internal body feeling of, I need to go to the bathroom, I'm hungry. And they also might appear really, really clumsy. They might bump into things, stumble, lean on things for support, because they do have that decreased body awareness at that point. They are always slouched over. It's very common. So things you can do with this. Scavenger hunts are great. Get them, you can do it inside, outside. Get them moving. Have them climb over things to find objects. I've done it where they have to listen to my verbal directions to complete the scavenger hunt, but I've also done it where they get pictures for kids who maybe can't read or can't follow those directions yet. And once they find the picture, they have to match it. And when they find all the pictures, the scavenger hunt is done. A weighted lap pad. This is something that, yes, you can buy, but you can easily make one as well if you take a pillowcase. I'm not talking like a weighted blanket. I'm talking a small lap pad that you can put on your child's lap when they need to attend to a task that might be seated, or if they need to calm down at all. You can take a pillowcase or a sock even. I've done it with a sock. Put rice, beans, something that you think is heavy enough for your child to give them input, and just either stitch it closed at the top or tie it off, or you can even use Velcro pieces, the sticker ones, and stick it to it. And it's your portable little weighted lap pad. Those are fantastic. It gives them that deep, heavy input that kids are seeking. Indoor obstacle courses, same with the scavenger hunt. They are awesome. You can use painter's tape. I'm sure you've seen them on Pinterest or stuff like that, Facebook, Instagram. Make little arrows with painter's tape, tell them you have to spin, jump, climb. An indoor obstacle course, it's great for rainy days. It also lets them do things that they don't normally do. Use those pieces of your couch. Use the couch cushions, the pillows. Let them pull them off the couch themselves. It gives them that deep, heavy work input that they need. And yoga is fantastic. It helps with body awareness, spatial awareness. It gives you input while you're doing the poses. They have all different types of yoga poses, child-friendly yoga stuff online that you can find. I'll also touch on this later. I do have a website. The things we talk about today throughout the next week will be uploaded onto the website. So if you are looking for yoga poses or ideas for different scavenger hunts, those will be up there. Animal walks as well, bear walks, crab walk, all that kind of stuff. Body awareness. It gives you the body awareness. It gives you that input that those kids are seeking. A fun way to do those, take a ball, simple ball. Mine conveniently had white spots on it, but if yours doesn't, you can take any type of ball you have. A beach ball will suffice as well. And write different things on it. And if your kid can't read, put pictures on it. So you have to do a seal pose, a surfer pose, a gorilla walk. And what you do is you play catch, or you have them roll the ball. Wherever their fingers land, they can pick from what they have. And it makes it a lot more fun, and you could do it with other people as well. They could play with other kids, family members, whatever. Ball rolls, another thing you can do with a ball. I do it at the office a lot where I work. If a child needs input, and other things aren't working, or all we happen to have in the room is a therapy ball or a ball like this, have them lay on their stomach and have them, you can tell them to take deep breaths or just to relax, and you take the ball and you roll it from their lower back down their legs, on their arms, and you give it just a little bit of pressure, and it gives them that deep, deep input that they need to regulate themselves. Forts and tents are great. Not only just for building them, because it gives them that heavy work that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes of getting all the materials, lifting all those blankets, those cushions to make a fort. It also gives them a small space to feel confined and comforted in. And that's something that kids who are seeking that proprioceptive and vestibular input, they like those confined spaces. So getting them involved in making the tent or making the fort is another way to just give them added input at the same time. Therapy band around the bottom legs of a chair. Again, I'm all about making things more functional. If you need your child to sit during mealtime, but they cannot stop moving, take a therapy band or an exercise band, put it around the bottom legs of the chair, and let them go to town. They can bounce their feet on it, they can kick it forward, whatever they need to do to increase their attention to task. I know I've used it before and I've had success. I've had parents use it in their homes and tell me that it's helped with letting them either complete their homework or sit longer at the dinner table. And it's really, really great. Simple. You can get a therapy band or an exercise band from Five Below. Some people just have them in their house. So that's super easy, super simple. So the heavy work that I keep talking about, these are things that we have to use kind of our whole body to do, engage everything in order to complete them. So have your child help push or pick up, if they're older, that laundry basket full of clothes. Have them help put it into the washer, put it into the dryer. If your child is safe in these types of things, have them unload the dishwasher, help you put the forks and knives away. Well, not the knives, don't recommend the knives, but the forks and the spoons away is what I meant to say. But anything that really gives them that heavy work, make their bed, have that become part of the routine, make your bed in the morning, move your pillows, move your comforter, that gives them that heavy work that they need. And interactive videos, this is something that I've used a lot, especially with teletherapy because of COVID. There are videos that you can find on YouTube, and I have my last slide of this presentation is a list of like 13 different ones where they will get stuck in your head worse than Baby Shark. So just an FYI. But very true. I still sing them to this day. But they combine music with movement. And there's a visual as well, because a lot of them they're functional. So walking in the forest is one of my go-tos. And basically it's identifying animals and following verbal cues. So it says, oh, we're jumping in the forest. So the kids jump with the video. And then they identify an animal that's hiding. Then it says, let's hop, or let's walk, or let's skip. And there's all different ones. They are awesome. They give that deep pressure from the jumping, the walking, all that kind of stuff. But it's really fun, really interactive. You can make chalk sensory pathways. I don't know if the video is going to play clearly. It was cutting out a little bit earlier. Yep, kind of like that. But basically, this is something you can do at your home. Sorry about the quality. I tried to fix it. But what you can do is take chalk, and your child can get involved in this. This happens to be a street that's not very busy. But if you do have a busy street, do it on the sidewalk. You can put whatever you want with the chalk. I have balancing. They have to walk along, spin in a circle, do some twists. You could do that, hop the ABCs. They have to say the ABCs out loud. Run, jump. I know people have done hopscotch with it. Anything that you really need to target, you can do in a fun way and take them outdoors. It's summertime. If it's nice out, get outside if you can. And then jumping patterns. I know we've all been ordering stuff off of Amazon. I know at least I have. So we have these cardboard boxes laying around. Use them, reuse them. Make a jumping pattern if your child is able to. Or again, you can do something more simple. Have them just be spots, and they have to match their feet rather than the hands and the feet. It's really good for that proprioception, that deep input, and vestibular as well. You can take it and actually have them where some of the feet and the hands are facing a different direction. So rather than just jumping forward, they have to jump sideways or spin all the way around. That gives them that vestibular input as well. Taco blankets, love them, absolutely love them. I actually recommend for some of my kids to do this every morning and every night before bed for regulation. Pull the blanket off the bed, wrap up your child in that blanket, make it really tight and have them crawl out of it. It gives them all that deep input, and it's really, really fun. And movement ABCs, again, this is something that you can find on my website. It just combines some of the things we talked about earlier with the animal walks and the yoga poses and some exercises. Again, making it functional. If you're working on spelling or your child needs to learn their name, combine each letter with one of the movements. So let's say we're doing my name, we're doing Bree. First we would do B, balance on one foot. R, run in place. And I, do the inchworm. It's really fun. You could do, you could just go through the ABCs, or if you're working on sight words, spell cat, dog, all these types of things. It's really, really fun.
What is a viper slither?
Oh, yeah, I was trying to think of something for V. It's basically just a snake. just a snake slither, where you go side to side. But viper is just another word for snake, so
Yeah.
that was the only V I could think of. But yes,
just had to
that
know.
is what it
Sorry.
is. And they will all, again, I'll have a link for my website at the end.
Okay.
But they will all be explained there. And if it's not up there now, like I said, in the next week, all of these things will be up there. So gustatory and oral, this is our sense of taste and our sensation through the jaw and the mouth. A lot of kids are oral sensory seekers. They will put everything in their mouth, and there's things that you can do at home to help kind of mitigate that. Because a lot of times they are things that are not edible and should not be put in the mouth. So real quick, our hyper-responsive kids, they might gag when they put something in their mouth. They will avoid toothbrushing often. Eat bland foods. These are our kids who are like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, and that's about it. Maybe French fries. That's kind of all they'll really eat. Super picky with textures, and they'll take really small bites when they're eating. On the other side, the hypo-responsive kids, they will lick and chew things that they're not supposed to. They might bite nails, people, themselves. They might teeth grind, chew on their cheeks, their tongue. They will be the kids who, you name it, they will eat it. Super spicy, salty, sweet, strong flavors, strong textures. They might drool and spit when they're talking and not even realize it. And they will be those kids like that little popcorn guy I was talking about who take very large bites or stuff food in their mouth when they're eating. So a couple things you can do at home, things that I've done, as the pictures you can see here, kids that are in my neighborhood, I've done this stuff with, they love it. It's easy to do at home. So we'll talk about the bubbles first, the bubble snakes and the bubble painting. So all you do is take bubbles, take the container, empty it out into separate separate bowls, take some food coloring, dye it different colors. There's your soap. So for this little cutie, I'm gonna let it play here. Turn the music off so I could talk at the same time. All you do is take a paper towel roll or a toilet paper roll, put a sock over the end of it, a little rubber band, you dip it in whatever color you want, and you blow through it, and it makes a really cool bubble snake, and it really hits all those oral sensory needs you're meeting. They have to make the O, which is really big for oral motor seekers, and they have to blow, which is also a really big part of that as well. And it's really fun. When the bubbles go away, I like to use the food coloring in it because it makes a really cool picture on the paper when it's done. You don't have to use food coloring. It's really fun just to make the snake, see how long they can make it, see if they can make different shapes with it. It's really fun. On the other hand, bubble painting, all you need is either the bubble wand that it comes with or a straw. For this little cutie patootie, I used a straw just because she was having issues making that O with her mouth, and the straw gives that input right on the lips that you know, oh, I have to seal here. Whereas you have to do it independently with the bubble wand. So you just use, again, the bubble soap, you just dump it out, put different food coloring in it, and you just dip the end of it and you blow and the bubbles pop, and it makes really cool pictures. You will, if you are looking to make pictures with it, need a lot of food coloring in each container. Other things you can do, pinwheel blowing or whistles, harmonicas are great also. Anything that you can blow. I also like to focus on deep breathing at the same time. So this little visual here, smell the flower. So you breathe in through your nose and you blow out through your mouth. This is something, if your child is one of those kids who shoves food in their mouth, take a minute before you start eating your meal and have them blow a pinwheel, blow through a harmonica. It should help with that because that means that they are looking for all that input in their mouth. Giving it to them beforehand should mitigate that while they're eating. Might not be for the full meal, but maybe for the first couple minutes. Another fun one you can do is a pom-pom race. You can use a straw or you could not use a straw, totally up to you. You can use the construction paper like I did, or you can use toilet paper rolls, and all you need is that and some painter's tape. And have your child try to push, or well, not push, blow the pom-pom, or if you don't have a pom-pom, a cotton ball, through the little obstacle course. And it gives them, again, all that oral input that they need. Another thing you can do, if your child is someone who does seek out those salty, sweet textures, tastes and flavors and stuff, is make sure you give them snacks that target those things. So this way they're not looking at that during mealtime. So give them crunchy pretzels as a snack, or carrots that are really, really crunchy. And this way mealtime can be something that's a little less of a hassle when it comes to looking for that oral, motor, sensory, gustatory input. Olfactory is your sense of smell. I know I am personally very sensitive to smell. I fall completely on the hyper-responsive side. We will smell things that others don't, or smell things before other people do. Reject food items simply on the smell, even if we are super, super, super hungry. Again, these are kids who are poor eaters. They might gag a lot, even before they bring the food to their mouth. They will attempt to run away from people or items that have smells, like the gas station. I know I have one kid who the parents say if they go to the gas station, the child is trying to get out of the car because they don't like the smell. Perfumes, certain perfumes might send a child sky high. They often will state how things smell, and it's not usually good. They'll say it smells bad, super strong, that person smells funny, and they have no problem saying it out loud usually. On the other hand, you have those hypo-responsive kids who they smell everything. Even if a toy is not meant to be smelled, they will bring it to their nose before they play with it. They will seek out those smelly food items. They might even have difficulty telling you that something smells funny, bad, or even smelling at all. Scratch and sniff stickers, they'll say they might not smell anything. And again, they will have difficulty noticing those unpleasant smells. So you might be driving and say, oh my goodness, I smell a skunk. And they'll be like, I don't smell anything. So that's kind of what you're looking for there. Smell can be calming or alerting. And again, the chart I have here is just based off of what research has shown to be calming and alerting, but it's different for everyone. So it's a little bit of trial and error when you're doing these kinds of things. And so basically, calming things are lavender, vanilla, rose, almond, lemon, a familiar scent like a dryer sheet, or even mother's perfume. Those could be really calming. Things that are alerting are citrus, like heavily citrus scented things, mint, cinnamon, sage, black pepper, clove, and chili powder. Again, it's different for everyone. So when you're working with the activities that we're about to talk about, your child might not fall into the exact categories as is what's on this slide. So scented sensory bins. Add a little bit of essential oil to a sensory bin if you want your child to calm down or become more alert. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, just make sure they're not going to eat it. Be there with them. You can also add spices to your sensory bin. If you're working with sand and your child needs to work on this olfactory sense, add some spices to it. There's nothing wrong with it. Scented markers. I know I grew up with Mr. Sketch. I had no idea till I made this presentation that Crayola came out with markers as well. They actually have some pretty good ones. They're called Sweet and Stinky. So it actually tackles all of those senses. So you can actually see if your child can smell those unpleasant scents or not. Simply cooking and baking, having your child get involved. Not only does that tackle the olfactory, but also the proprioception, the vestibular, the visual, which we're going to go into, the auditory, and the tactile. All of that goes into baking. But if you are going to have your child cook or bake something with you and they are sensitive to smells, the first time you do it, do something that's a smell they like. Something simple, something they like. And then eventually you can start making things that maybe they're not so okay with, but that's not a very strong scent. So if they really like chocolate chip cookies, make chocolate chip cookies. If they don't like, let's say they don't like the smell of burgers, like some kids that I work with, they don't like the smell of meat being cooked. First make the cookies, then make the meat, then bring the cookies back out, because I like to do what's called a positivity sandwich. Something they like, something they don't like, something they like. That goes with everything. All the types of input that we talked about today, always go with that positivity sandwich. So they always have something positive to remember in the beginning and something positive to remember at the end. Scratch and sniff stickers, they are awesome. You can, especially for going on a road trip or you're going somewhere and you know that your child is one of those kids who needs to smell everything, give them a sticker on their hand. So this way, when you're at the store, they can smell that instead of smelling everything around. Guess that scent game. It's a really, really fun game. I like to use the little containers that the spices come in. When they get empty, I save them. And you can put a little bit of the spice in there, or if you want to use essential oils, put a cotton ball and drip some essential oil in it, and play the what does this smell like game with your child. Or if they have issues with the scent, have them have like a weekly theme or a daily theme and say, oh, this is what lemon smells like. Let's practice smelling the lemon. Is it sweet? Is it sour? What does it smell like? Do you like it or not? Scented oil smell bag. This is something that I've recommended for some of my kids to use before, especially for kids who are sensitive. Like I said, the gas station is a big place for that. Basically, you could take a little baby blanket or a little stuffed animal and put it in a Ziploc bag or a container that you have, and just douse it with whatever scent is calming for your child. So let's say they really like the dryer sheet or mom's perfume. Put it in that bag, get it all doused, seal it up tight, and leave it in your glove compartment. Anytime you're going to the gas station with your child, give them that to smell instead. It's a distraction and it's something calming. Scented bath bombs are fantastic. They're really fun to make as well. There's all different recipes online. And you can scent it with whatever you want, something calming or something alerting. Spice paint. This is also something that is okay if they eat it. It's just food-based, food coloring, water, flour, cornstarch, and whatever spice you want. I've used all of these before. They work just like regular paint. However, they are food-based, so I wouldn't keep them on your fridge for very long. Bugs will become attracted to them because, again, they are that food-based. But it does smell even after it dries. It still smells really good. So you can have your child help you make these. Smell, oh, what color do you want to make? Oh, the red is going to be cinnamon. Let's smell the cinnamon. To get them used to those scents, and also to have them help them recognize what they are. Another thing you could do is scented Play-Doh. This Play-Doh is also safe to eat as well. You just take all this stuff, put it on in a skillet or the pot on the stove, mix it all together till it's nice and combined, let it cool off, and let your child go to town. Again, safe if they eat it, and really good. While they're playing with it, they're still getting that olfactory sensation of the scent. And the last one we're going to talk about today is the visual and auditory. That's our vision and our hearing. So the hyper-responsive kids, they will notice the tiniest things, the smallest crumbs. Really bright lights, they will not like it. They look down a lot because looking up is a lot of stimulation for them. They're often light sleepers, frightened by loud, sudden sounds like thunderstorms or crowds, do not like haircuts. And it's not always because of the sensory aspect of the pulling on the hair. It's actually from the auditory part and the visual sensation of someone's coming at me with scissors. They usually all go hand in hand, but sometimes if they are not afraid of that hair sensation, it is because of the visual and the auditory piece. They will cover their ears, sometimes make repetitive noises to cancel out other noises that they're hearing. And they will hear things that others do not. So I know I personally can hear when a light bulb is about to die, and that sound drives me crazy. And that's something that other people can't always hear. So that's something that if your child is saying that, they are hyper-responsive to sound. Hypo-responsive kids, they might stare at the sun or a light bulb and not be fazed by it at all. Fascinated with reflections and bright colored objects. They might move their fingers in front of their face like this. That's something I see a lot in my office. Or if they're playing with Play-Doh, instead of playing with it as you would expect them to, they'll crumble it in front of their eyes. That's something I see a lot. They might seek out sounds, put their ear against the washer or the dryer or the dishwasher. They'll enjoy sirens. When they hear an ambulance or something going by, they will run to the window and want to look at it, and they might even put their ear against the window. They might also create their own sounds like banging or tapping, and it might be rhythmic because they might really, really like that input. So things that you can do for this. For the visual aspect, sensory bottles are great. I have a couple here. You can make them with water. This one's made with cornstarch, and this one is made with dish soap. And you can see the glitter is falling at very different rates. For kids who need longer visual input, make it mostly of cornstarch. This will basically not fall to the bottom till this time tomorrow. But with the dish soap, you shake it, and I like to use this as a sensory break for my kids when they're doing really well. I say, okay, shake the bottle, and when all the glitter falls down, we're gonna do something else. It's a really good visual break. You can put pom-poms in it, little pieces of stuff in it, and there's different ratios of things that you can put in it that make it fall slower or faster. Another one you can do, again, to make it functional, you can do this with rice. I did pom-poms today, but there's little alphabet letters in here if you can see that. And basically what you have to do, it's a little I Spy, and it's all visual perception, visual tracking, visual input, and there's also, if you can hear it, the auditory input as well from moving it around. It's functional. Like I said, you can use pom-poms, rice, beans, anything that you really want to. Guided readings and guiding meditations are great, not only just for the auditory piece, but if you have your child close their eyes while you're reading something, and again, these will be things that will be on my website that you can use for free, have them create a picture in their mind and tell you what they're seeing as you're reading. I like to hit all the senses as I do this as well. Popping bubbles, as you can see in the cute little picture down here, great for visual things. They have to follow the bubbles, find the bubbles, track the bubbles. Really fun to pop them as well. Pots and pans drumming, as annoying and loud as it might be for us, the kids who are sensory seekers love this. Give them different things that make different pitches of sound, and they will go to town, and they should be more calm afterwards. Clapping to a beat. If you've ever heard of interactive metronome, I love it. Clapping to a beat causes whole body listening. So not only do they have to listen with their ears, but they also have to coordinate their hands, or if they're tapping on their lap, tap on their lap. And it's really great for vision as well, for kids who need the visual of looking at you in order to stay on the beat. They're tracking your hands, they're watching your hands. It's really awesome. I use it all the time. Definitely, if you have a child who looks for that auditory and visual input, look up interactive metronome. I am a big, big advocate for that. Tracking paper airplanes through the sky. Super fun to make, and throwing them and following them is another way to get great visual input. And balloon keep it up. The push-up of keeping the balloon in the air is great for that tactile and proprioceptive input, but keeping it in the air and tracking it is great for those kids who need that visual input. Music shakers, easy do it at home one. You can simply take leftover Easter eggs, like I have, and put rice or beans or coins in it. Everything will make different sounds. Make sure you tape it. Mine's not taped right now, but make sure you tape it so it doesn't go everywhere. And there's your music shaker, and let your child see, oh, which sound do you like? Which ones don't you like? Put all different things, all different sizes of things in there and see what happens. Flashlight tag. You and your child take a flashlight for those visual kiddos, and you have to chase each other in a dark room. Not obviously chase each other, but the flashlights on the ceiling or on the sides of the walls. It's really, really fun. It gives them a lot of that input because it is that bright light that they're looking for. And a do-it-yourself light table. I love this. Take a bin. Take Christmas lights. Throw it inside. It could be colorful or white, and it just has to be a clear bin. And put the lid on. You have your light table. For a lot of the kids who need that visual input, it gives them the means that they need in order to succeed. You can write on it. You can, like the little girl there, sorting colors on it. You can do whatever you need to on top of it that gives them that input so they can still function and they're getting what they need, and it's super easy to do in your home. So basically, what do you need to know on a daily basis, and what do you need to recognize to give your child the input they need to succeed? It's important to know they do not need the same type of input every day. It's really based on the environmental impact of what's going on in the moment. So you need to look for signs of dysregulation for all of the senses. What type of input are they seeking on their own? What is missing from the environment that they might need? Is there too much from the environment? Do they need to calm down or be more alert? Are they doing a behavior you haven't seen before? Or is it something that you know, they do this when they're frustrated, or they do this when there's a loud sound? Just go through all the senses, just take a step back rather than freaking out about what's happening, because that happens a lot. I know in the office that happens for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Take a step back, assess the environment. Is there a light that needs to be turned off? Is there a sound? Did the fan just turn on and they don't like the sound or the sight of the fan? Are you in a new space, a new environment, and they're trying to adjust to it? Is there a smell that maybe is really strong for them? Take a step back and use all of your senses to see what your child needs. And trust your gut. You know your child. If you're a therapist, you know the kids you work with. Absolutely trust your gut and have fun. Use the activities that we talked about. Make it fun and entertaining. And there's no such thing as giving the wrong input. If anything, You'll either really calm down your child or make them really, really, really hyper. And at the end of the day, it's a learning experience. All these things take time to learn what each individual child needs. No two kids are the same. So just trust your gut and have fun and make it fun for them and make it fun for you. Anybody have any questions?
We definitely do have some questions. If you want to go ahead, you can stop sharing your screen unless you want to go ahead to your website information.
Sure. Before I show you that, this is all the interactive videos I was talking about. They're in the order of the ones that I like the most and use the most. But definitely look at those. If it's ever a rainy day and your child needs input, use these. And then here's the link for my website. There's also a Facebook page and an Instagram page as well. Like I said, some of the stuff that we talked about today is not up there yet, but in the next week it will be. So.
All right. We definitely have some questions. I do want to this will be recorded. It will be posted on Facebook. If not tonight, then by first thing in the morning. And the link will be on the Autism Center at Misericordia's Facebook page. And I'm sure Bree will share it as well.
Absolutely.
So that will definitely be recorded. And so that was one of the questions.
Okay.
Another question is, I am a school-based occupational therapist. Most or all of my kids are oral seekers, and I have a lot of parents come to me about suggesting a chewy necklace right away. Yes. What are your opinions on them from an OT perspective? And then she mentions, I try to incorporate a lot of the activities that you suggest, as well as incorporating crunchier foods, etc. I definitely don't suggest them right away because they can be very distracting.
Yes.
So yeah, go ahead.
With the chewies, the chewy necklaces, the chewy tubes, they are great. But then a child often becomes dependent on it, or they're chewing through it because they're seeking so much input with that. You really have to base it on each child and what they need. I have recommended chewy tubes and chewy necklaces for kids before. You have to determine what type of tube and what type of necklace to use, because they do have all different textures, different strengths based on that individual child. A lot of parents are like, oh, this is a dead sure way to fix the problem. Not always. I do tell parents my caveat of, there's a chance this makes it better, but there's a chance it makes it worse. Just because then if you give them the thickest, they have ones that have bumps on them, bumpy ones, it gives them the input. But after a while, if you're using it too much, you don't make a schedule with it, they will become dependent on it, desensitized to it, and then they're going to need more input. So if you are going to recommend them, I think they're great. Make sure you make a schedule for the parent of when to use it, times to give it to them, because they cannot have it all the time. Otherwise, I definitely recommend them for sure.
Just to tail on your answer, my son, through early intervention, they suggested, chewy tubes because you don't know if it's going to work until you try it.
Yes.
So as a parent's perspective, myself and my family were buying all these therapeutic tools, and you don't know if they're going to work or not. So what I was so grateful, one of the OTs I was working with said, go to Lowe's and go to the plumbing section and get a roll of clear tubing. It was like 50 feet or something for like $5. And that way,
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it was extremely cost effective. And if you put it next to some of the other tubes, it was exactly the same. And then we were also
definitely using that.
Yeah, we were also able to use it for practicing drinking out of straws.
Yep.
And you could whatever length you wanted. Yeah,
and you can also too, if a child is benefiting from the chewy but they're becoming desensitized to it, something I recommend is, Z-Vibes. I'm sure if you're a therapist, you've heard of them, but they're very kind of expensive. Use a vibrating toothbrush in the morning and at night. That's something too that gives them that input as well.
Yeah. We do have another question.
Sure.
Can an individual have a mix of hypo and hyper responsiveness?
Oh, yes. A lot of people are a mix. And there's nothing wrong with it. Each sense, for one sense, you might have a child who fully falls into hyper responsive, and for another sense, they might be hypo responsive. I know for myself, I'm a pretty solid hyper responsive, but with certain things, I am hypo responsive. And I'm only very aware of it because I talk about it so much with the parents that I'm just like, let me explain to you how I function on a daily basis. There's nothing wrong with falling into more than one category. And again, it's only a problem when it impedes function. When the child doesn't like bath water and they refuse to take a bath, that's when it's a problem.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
We have 2 more questions so
Sure.
far. Is the sensation of space in a pool a proprioceptive response, and why individuals with autism are often drawn to water? Is that spatial awareness, I think, is what they're trying to say, pushing against the water?
It's definitely a combination of the tactile and the proprioception. Because when you think about it, the water is touching all the parts of the skin. You're getting fully immersed in the water. That gives you the tactile sensation. And because water does put some pressure on us, that's that proprioceptive input. I don't know if that's why those kids are attracted to water. That could be a really good research question, actually. I would be interested to see the results of that myself.
Yeah.
But it definitely could be a factor, because it would be for some kids very calming and very soothing.
Right.
In those aspects of those sensory needs that they need met.
And if they're underwater, maybe they can't hear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even the swooshing, I know when I go underwater, I don't know if this is normal for everyone. Again, I'm hyper responsive to sound. But the swooshing of the water could be calming as well when it goes over the ears.
Like if you were walking the beach.
Yes, exactly.
The last question I have right now is, my child likes pressure and chooses to sleep on the floor and not in his bed.
Yes.
Is that a pick your battle moment, or should we work on transitioning him to sleep in his bed?
Okay, so I am all about, I say this all the time to my parents, you have to pick your battles. I personally am not a parent, but I know I talk to my parents every day. You need to pick your battles. That's something that you can decide on your own. Is that a battle you want to fight? I don't know. For some of my kids, the fact that the bed is off the ground is what the problem is. So moving the mattress to the ground instead, see if they'll sleep on it then. Sometimes they need more pressure when they sleep, or they need a bed that's not as squishy. That's why he's looking to sleep on the ground. He or she is looking to sleep on the ground, because they need something more firm to feel more kind of grounded, safe, and regulated. So you can try different things. Like I said, put the mattress on the ground. Try that. Like no box spring, no nothing. Mattress, ground, that's it. You can try finding, again, I don't know your child besides your question, but if you're able to, maybe try, if you have something firmer in the house, put couch cushions on the ground, an air mattress even, and blow it up really, 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 so it's really firm. Try that. If not, I guess you can let them sleep on the ground. It is totally up to you. But there's a lot of kids who are like that for sure.
I think the pick your battles is definitely a great phrase to use for all families who have a child with autism. If you would like to go ahead and put up your website and your other information for the things again, that would be fantastic. As we'll wait just another minute or so for any more questions. I have to say, I'll be using quite a bit of these with my own.
Oh, yay. Good. Thank you. I'm so glad.
What I would like to do is I'll post, the results on the Facebook page. We'll see, taking it from the trainings and applying it.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, definitely. And again, if anyone has any questions, I did on this last slide, my email address is there. Feel free to email me, ask me questions. If you do try activities, feel free to send me pictures or videos or tell me about your results. I'm super happy to see when things work, and even when something might not actually work the way you think it does. And any ideas you have, any ideas you need, please feel free to reach out to me.
That is so awesome. Well, at this moment, we don't have any other questions.
Sorry about the light glare. The sun is setting.
Every day it's different.
Yes. All right. That's good. Good enough.
All right. Well, it doesn't appear that we have any more questions, so I would like to thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. I
And this
appreciate
was
it. Thank you.
fantastic presentation, and it's definitely something I think people will be able to use quite often. Your explanations were really, clear and concise, so thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
if anybody has any questions for the Autism Center, or if there are any other topics you would like to see trainings on, whether they're from Bree or any other topics, let us know at autism@misericordia.edu. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Thanks.
you all so much. Have a wonderful day. It was so
Yeah.
nice.
Bye.
Bye.